reading out the signals for the Baltimore Colts. Unitas gives to Amici. The Colts are the world champions. Amici scores.
It's amazing, sensational, dramatic, heart-rending, exciting, thrilling finish in the history of college football. California won the big game.
5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable.
This is Phil Steele.
This is Mike Burnham.
This is Wes Durham.
This is Mike Ashley.
Hi, this is Chuck Foreman, number 44 of the Minnesota Vikings.
Woo, mercy, this is handsome Jimmy Vane, the Boogie Woogie Man.
This is Coach Fry with Virginia Tech football, and you are listening to Big Dog Sports Talk.
Are you ready to rock? Are you ready to roll? Okay, let's do it.
You're in the doghouse with Rick Watson on Big Dog Sports Talk, presented by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. Join us in the Family Fencing Studios and chime in on the McClellan Chiropractic chat line. He's keeping cool with help from Little River Heating and Air, but this show is straight fire. And now, the big dog, Rick Watson.
Hey, good morning. How are you? It is Monday here on the program. Hope everybody is doing well wherever you might be. Hope you had a successful weekend, however that may have unfolded for you. And we welcome you, as always, in the McClellan Chiropractic chat room. Hit us up there, as many of you do on a daily basis. I didn't put my welcome message up. Or hit us up on our Professional Door Incorporated text line at 540-391-0788. Hope everybody's doing all right. We're going to review the college football weekend. Heading into week number 5 now Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Jermaine Ferrell scheduled to join us. Ron Shelburn, the Radford Hall of Famer. And Zach Helton is going to jump on. He is the voice at Bluefield State. And late last night, in the evening, we got some more bad news regarding just a legendary Virginia high school football coach, as former Christiansburg, I want to say, was it James River? And of course, he won 7 state titles at Powell Valley. Phil Robbins passed away. And we're going to talk to Zach about that. Got to talk to Coach Robbins many times in the playoffs when Radford would play Powell Valley. They had a regular season series, and inevitably they would meet in the old setup of the playoffs. So always great conversation. Yet another passing. Of course, we lost Coach Lindenberg, and now we lose Phil Robbins. So we'll talk to Zach about that coming up in hour number 3. But yeah, hit us up. Virginia Tech gets into the win column. There's not a lot to break down. It was Wofford. You're going to make the case that Wofford may be the worst FCS team out there. 38-6 was the final. Kyron Drones put up some nice numbers. I mean, he should have. But maybe this gets some momentum going in the right direction. Give us your thoughts if you were there. Yeah, Paul, how about Jalen Lane? Matter of fact, Bashaw Tootin and Jalen Lane each scored touchdowns yesterday. Tootin did it for Jacksonville, and Lane had a punt return for the Commanders in their win. So a couple of Tech guys getting it done in the National Football League. And that's really cool. But if you actually took the time to go to the Wofford game, let us know your thoughts. Because now the season, is right still ahead. The ACC schedule begins. Virginia Tech against North Carolina State, 7 o'clock, I think, this weekend. Tech 8.5-point underdogs, but we'll see where that goes. And we'll get into all that. Yeah, I guess it's momentum, Prometheus. I guess. Tech won by 32. Hey, they didn't cover the spread. Spread was 35.5. So go Wofford. But in any event, we'll get into it some if you would like. But there's not much really to break down there. it's Wofford. Let's everybody stay on the ground here. I still can't believe that game was on the schedule twice since 2022. I want to thank Family Fencing, sponsor of our studios. War Eagles here in Ryder. Auburn wins again. They're now 3-1 on Friday night. Give them a call up, 540-200-8294, familyfencingnrv.com. Locally owned and operated fencing experts. Aluminum, vinyl, wood, residential, commercial, agricultural. I know a couple folks have already called who watched the show to get a quote. Do it. Go. Let them take care of you. Mark Hunley, McClellan Chiropractic, sponsoring our very famous and exciting chat room on a daily basis here on the program. We are presented each and every day by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. I want to thank all of them, Jonathan Sweet, Tim Miller and Company. Also, thanks to Charles Lee, Little River Heating and Air, 1095 Radford Street in Christiansburg. Let them take care of all of your soon-to-be heating unit needs as we get colder and colder in October and November, and then the inevitable winter. Go see the attorney, Ryan Pry, if you need help with anything, 701 West Main Street in Radford. He brings us the BDST fan question of the week, prylawoffice.com. Check him out. He specializes in trust and estate planning. Thanks, Ryan. By the way, Ryan, I saw you had a birthday. Happy birthday to you. Belated birthday. And thanks to National Bank, member FDIC, Lara Ramsey and Company, the exclusive banking partner here on BDST. Thank you so much. And I mentioned it earlier, but I'll mention it again. Travis Williams and all the folks at Professional Door Incorporated, residential and commercial right here. Our text line. See the logo? It's really cool. 391-0788, 540-391-0788. They've been in business 38 years. Family owned and operated, Route 100, right across the New River Community College. Garage doors, better than anybody. That's what they do. So we thank them for everything. All right. Let's hit the comments section here. Yeah, crazy ending in Memphis where Arkansas is setting up for the game-winning field goal. Oops. Wes says, I think Drones held on to the ball way too long, and that will hurt him down the road. Yeah, that's the thing, too. I mean, it's hard to really – you can look at performances against a team like Wofford if you want, and you can look at this and that. You have Power 4 athletes going against FCS athletes that aren't very good. They have maybe the worst offense of any football team you're going to see in the country. And, you know, it's a positive thing that it's a win. You're not feeling bad because of the loss with everything that went on during the week. So that aspect of it is good. But beyond that, let's see now if they did indeed, like Prometheus said, maybe they had momentum and maybe this gives them some confidence going forward as they hit the road. I think it's a good thing the next game's a road game. Sometimes you can circle the wagons a little bit and you might need that, get away from the noise, because the noise is still out there about everything that went on with Brent Price firing and so forth. So maybe it's not a bad thing, to be honest with you. Maybe it's not a bad thing. Please continue to spread the word about the show and like and subscribe. Of course, it's amazing that we hit the benchmark of 500 subscribers. Thank you again in a month. And I'm not saying it's going to happen soon, but the next big number, 1,000, means that when you have a live program, when you get to 1,000, you're guaranteed, as long as you want to continue to do it, that the live program remains up on YouTube. 1,000 is that benchmark. So help us scope out for the next less than 500 people now that we need to subscribe to the channel. We would really get excited if we hit that number. Then we'd be cooking with grease. Drones, 27 of 32, 307, 2 touchdowns. They finally ran the ball a little bit against Wofford. And now they take on NC State, who gave up a lot of points to Duke over the weekend, 45-33. And, NC State is always, I guess, under Dave Dorn, they're just going to be that team that you sometimes get a little too high on, and they don't ever live up to it. They haven't when they've been favored. And sometimes when you kind of let them lay in the weeds, they swell up and give you the reasons that people thought they were going to be good the next year. And I think that's kind of where they are right now. Now, Duke is pretty good, especially at home. But if Duke can put up 45, I would expect Tech to be able to have some success or potential for success in Philip Montgomery's offense against the Wolfpack, which, we have all week to break it down and get into our guests and so forth. Virginia, I guess we can go ahead and say it. They have a really good offense. They put up 48-20 over Stanford. Now, I have not watched them closely enough to see, but it appears as if Tony Elliott has got the team that he needed to have to keep his job down in Charlottesville, or up in Charlottesville, or over in Charlottesville. Virginia shows you the respect they're getting. Florida State's going in there this weekend and only 6.5-point favorites. How about that? And that'll tell us a lot clearly about the Cavaliers. I don't think they're great defensively, but they have scored a lot of points in all their games. Now, Stanford is a lost program. They're just having that year where – so Tech maybe – it's disappointing to hear Tech made some calls out there, because you have Andrew Luck, who's the GM, his buddy Frank Reich, doing the interim thing this year before they kind of restart their program next year. So basically, Stanford's admitting they're throwing away 2025. Yes, Stanford, no doubt, Prometheus. They are really bad. They are really bad. And they have no interest in football. And a future Tech opponent gets shut out. California goes to San Diego State and gets shut out 34-0. The state of California Power 4 football, other than USC. Wow. 34-0. Cal was undefeated going into that game. So Tech's got Cal and Wake. Feel pretty good about those two games coming up at home. 100%. What else? What else here? Clemson. Oh, we got to talk about Dabo. Clemson. Now let's get into the Tigers a little bit here. Syracuse. And I don't know who was on Friday's chat said, hey, you think Dabo will beat Syracuse? And my first reaction was, yeah, they'll be fine at home, right? Well, 1-3, 34-21. Unfortunately, Syracuse has lost its quarterback for the rest of the year. Good morning, Rodney. And Dabo looked completely defeated and out of answers at the post-game presser. That guy looked like he has no idea why the wheels have fallen off. And for everybody, yes, chat, Steve Ancelli, the quarterback's out for the year for Syracuse. And it's a shame because he's a good football player. He tore, I think, an ACL and an Achilles. Yeah. So he's done. And that's going to change everything for Syracuse, who's playing really well. I mean, injuries suck. Much as we love football, injuries just suck. And I hate to hear some kid who's just getting the season started has played well. I mean, Syracuse 3-1, and now they've lost their quarterback. Just terrible. Terrible. Just awful. Dabo looks completely lost. And for anybody who ever feels bad that you miss a prediction on a game, like a lot of times I'll get a hard time. Like people gave me a hard time when I picked Tech to beat South Carolina. I mean, I'm not wagering on it. Phil Steele had Clemson going to the national championship. Phil freaking Steele, the quintessential college football guru. And that ain't happening That ain't happening. So don't ever feel bad when you think you know something about how a game's going to turn out and it doesn't, because even the best can miss. And, he had Clemson going to the national title game. He thought Clemson was going to be that team. Clemson is anything but that team. They've looked bad in all 4 of their games, much like that other Power 4 team in South Carolina that we're going to talk about. Wes says, if you told me at the beginning of the season the Hokies would have the same record 4 games in as Clemson, I would have took. Yeah, but you'd rather that be 3-1 though, right, Wes? Like, instead of both 1-3, 100%. Who had that on their bingo card? Clemson and Tech are going to have the same record. By the way, that record is going to be 1-3. David says all California's best players are at Texas, LSU, and Oregon. Yeah. Why would they want to stay out there in California, pay the highest tax rate of the country on their NIL? Of course they're going to leave. That's why businesses are leaving. That's why people are flocking out of that god-awful state. Yeah, that's right, Al. Dabo's payout is $60 million. In other words, he's not going away. And I have no idea why anyone's buyout. I have no idea why even buyouts are a thing. And somebody can try to tell me that's the way the business flowed. But basically, you have a football coach who's already making millions and millions of dollars. And if they don't go out there and do their job, if you want to get rid of them, you have to pay them even more millions and millions of dollars. Talked about this last week. Somebody make that make sense to me. Anyone? Hey, Rocky found us on the text line on Professional Door. Hey, Rock. Is the Broncos season over? Yes. They've lost back-to-back weeks on last-second field goals, walk-off field goals. One, they got screwed by the officials yesterday. By the way, Bo Nix is not a good football player. Bo Nix is not a franchise quarterback. They've missed again on their quarterback. Yeah, it is what it is. Wayne says Rick's buyout is a 6-pack of Diet Pepsi and beef jerky. Bacon jerky, yeah. Yeah, bacon jerky, yeah. But, Clemson's in let's just check out something. Let's see what Clemson's got here. Clemson's 1-3. All right, so Clemson, well, it's going to be on this weekend in Chapel Hill. Clemson's reeling. We're reeling a little bit. But my God, Jordan smells just like fresh cut strawberries. I understand she's going to bring me some chocolate pudding. It's Dabo. It's me. It's Jordan. Let's get it on. Clemson's down in Chapel Hill against North Carolina. That's their next game. Then they go to BC. BC's not going to be an easy mark at home. Then they have SMU, Duke, Florida State, Louisville, Furman, South Carolina. So would you take Dabo as the next Virginia Tech head coach? No. And I think trying to throw out retreads every time somebody is a retread is not the way to go. I think Dabo's the kind of guy that once he leaves Clemson, he'll be done with it. That was a unique situation. But no, I would not. I would not. Yeah, JMU planted their flag yet again as the best football program in the state. They dominated Liberty. Matt Rohn, the AD at James Madison, will be with us on Wednesday in hour number 3. Watch JMU play football and tell me, if you're a Tech fan, how much you would really wish that they would play football like that. Those guys are serious up front. Prometheus says Shane may not win 6 games. Yeah, let's get to that other division, that Power 4 team in South Carolina. They're not a good football team. I don't know how else to say it. Missouri completely and utterly pushed them around up front. And you know, when you're in a game that's kind of going back and forth, it's the fourth quarter of that game, right? Coach Beamer used to say it all the time. I mean, all the great coaches used to say that all the time. Bobby Bowden, when he'd come on the old radio show. Nick Saban says it. You name it. When you get to the fourth quarter, how does your team perform? It tells you how tight-knit your team is, how good your team is. Well, they get outscored 11-0. And Missouri ran for 285 yards. South Carolina ran for -9. -9. This was a team that was number 13 in the country. They've looked bad in all 4 games, even in the Tech win. It was 10-8 going to the fourth quarter. Now we know all the turmoil that was going on in Blacksburg. They got embarrassed by Vanderbilt, who, by the way, put up 70 points in their win over Georgia State. Is Vanderbilt going to be a playoff team? My favorite player in college football, Diego Pavia, thinks so. I think he put up 350 all-purpose yards. Just another day at the – that's good. Wow. Yeah, everybody just needs to stop with the whole Shane Beamer. We've said this for the last 2 weeks. I mean, Shane Beamer's not coming to Blacksburg. You don't want him to come to Blacksburg. Ryan Pry, the attorney, our sponsor of our Fan Question of the Week. Chris Coleman made the point about Shane. If he came and it didn't go well, then you'd have to be forced to fire him, firing a Beamer. All I know is you can tell, and I said this, and you can watch a South Carolina game and tell me I'm wrong. They know how animated he gets on the sideline, and the cameras have somebody, the director has a camera assigned to him. And the things that he does and the way he behaves on the sideline, it's not a good look for him. It's not a good look. Every game it's like that. I watched that Missouri game, and you know, he's got his headset off. He's complete. You know, it's just all these theatrics. It's just stop with it. It's not going to happen. You don't want it. You should want more for the Tech program than that. And by the way, I know it's what fans do, but you're putting the what's the saying? Is it putting the cart before the horse, or is it the horse before the cart? I don't know. Whichever correct way it is to say that, everybody keeps talking about the new coach. They don't even know what they're doing over there. They don't have a committee in place. They don't have anybody honed in on for the GM. And everybody's talking about who's going to be the new coach. They're not organized yet. It hasn't even begun. Yeah, sure, you're going to hear from people. That doesn't matter. It's just noise. It's just noise. Yes, good point, Big Al. Let's talk a little bit about Indiana football. What? Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about Curt Signetti. Speaking of JMU football, Curt Signetti was at James Madison, and I had restarted the show right around the whole 2020. And you were coming out of the Fuente disaster, and they were back in the market for a head coach. And I know a lot of people at JMU, radio crew, TV crew. And Curt Signetti had some interest in the job. It never materialized. As far as I know, there was never any kind of contact, never any kind of meeting. I was told later by folks that I trust down there that Signetti, before he fled to Indiana a couple of years later, said that he was told he was too old. If that's true, okay. Well, last year in year one, he got Indiana to the national playoff where they almost won against Notre Dame, right? This year, in a showdown game between two Big Ten unbeatens, this past Saturday, all Signetti's Hoosiers did was beat down Illinois 63-10. The Mendoza kid is outstanding. I saw me and Jim were talking about him on Friday. He had 5 touchdown passes. They're 4-0 with a bullet. And the Big Ten is there for the taking. He's too old. Okay. Wow. Raise your hand, Tech fan, if you wish Kurt Signetti was rolling your team down into Raleigh on Saturday against North Carolina State. Anyone? What he did at James Madison was build the foundation for that, where that program stands. He always had a belief. Sometimes people said he was very arrogant. You kind of had to be. He had to have a chip on his shoulder because you have Virginia Tech, you have Virginia here in the state. You know, Liberty was getting a lot of momentum with the money they were raising in the facilities. And here's JMU and Signetti. Boom. So 63-10 against a good Illinois team that had just throttled Duke the week before, the same Duke team that throttled NC State Saturday. But hey, he's too old. He's too old. There's people who make a lot of damn money in these athletic departments that make a lot of bad decisions. If that all went down the way it's been portrayed to me, that's one of them right there. That may be one of the biggest. Rodney says, Rick, do you think Virginia Tech would keep Philip Montgomery as head coach? He could coach himself into that, sure. He could coach himself into being a logical candidate. I mean, he's got his whole tryout ahead of him in the ACC schedule. I mean, you're not going to say it can't happen. I don't believe that's the plan right now in any way, shape, or form. But could he, if he has a good showing and got Tech to a ball? Sure. Absolutely, he could. I mean, it could happen. But let's everybody just stay on the ground a little bit and not worry about, hey, boy, they looked really good Saturday. Well, yeah, they did. It's Wofford. Doesn't matter what had happened before, they were going to look pretty good on Saturday. I mean, let's just – 63-10. Yeah, people are like, is that the right score? I'm getting on the professional door text line. Yeah, it was 63-10. You don't want to play Indiana. Nope. No. What else? What else happened? Georgia Tech wins again over Temple. It's Temple. Michigan. That's an impressive win for them on the road. They won at Nebraska by 3. Notre Dame beat Purdue. Yeah, I got somebody in the McClellan chat room already said Notre Dame, they're 1-2, yet they're ranked in the top 25 again. This is why Notre Dame is an independent. This is why Notre Dame knows, and I don't know how many times I have to say it, they know their brand's bigger than anything in college football. That's right. Notre Dame has no right being ranked. But here they are, ranked at 1-2. They lost to Miami, Texas A&M. Now, granted, they lost both of those games by 4 points, but they still lost. They've got Arkansas, Boise State, NC State, USC, BC, Navy, Pitt, Syracuse. The schedule is going to be tough enough in the eyes of the voters. If Notre Dame wins out, Notre Dame will be in the playoff. Notre Dame will be in the playoff if they win out. Might as well just go ahead and put the Domers in there. But I think they have to win out. Well, no, they don't. It's Notre Dame. They could probably drop one of those games and still get in with 3 losses because they're treated completely different. Miami. Let's tip your hat to them so far. The 4-0, the Bullet, and the Billy Napier. I saw he's owed a ton of money, too, if they let him go today. There's a lot of rumors Billy Napier is going to be fired today, the head football coach of Florida. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but there was a lot of momentum last night that Billy Napier is going to be bought out and let go today. We'll see. We'll see. That was another hot name that had kind of been tied to the Tech job when they hired Pry. And it has not worked out at all. He has every resource he's ever going to need down in Gainesville. They're one of probably 10 programs in the country that will never, ever say that the reason they don't win is because of lack of resources. That place is swimming in it, and football down there is, like it is in most places in the SEC. But he has not gotten it done. And the thing about Miami, too, it's not just Carson Beck and the offense. They're running the ball, but that defense is stout. I tried to watch as much of that game as I could Saturday evening, and they're good. Okie Bob says, with the luck of the Irish, Notre Dame could have 5 losses and get in the playoffs. Yeah, maybe so. Maybe so. I mean, it wouldn't surprise you. I'm interested. The Florida State-Virginia game is going to be very interesting. I want to see how Tech handles themselves. We'll see. But elsewhere, that's about it, right? There was nothing else really that really kind of stood out over the weekend. Anything you want to talk about? We mentioned JMU. Hit me up about games that you may have watched over the weekend. But I hate that for the Syracuse quarterback. I hate that. It's terrible news. SMU loses again. You talk about a team that's, a lot like Clemson. They were hyped up. I mean, 2 of your top 3 ACC teams going into the season are not performing very well. Florida State surprised people, so they've kind of replaced one of them in the top 10. And then Miami, I think, is up to number 2 now, if I'm not mistaken. And UCF beat Carolina 34-9, and, yeah. We didn't think that would go well, and it did not for the Tar Heels. And when that program plays quality competition, they have looked very inferior. Extraordinarily inferior. You see, here's an example for every Tech fan who thinks all of a sudden the season is now turned around. Carolina beat 2 FCS teams, right? And people were thinking, hey, Bill Belichick's got it going now. Who'd they beat? They beat Charlotte and Richmond. Well, Wofford's nowhere nearly as good as Charlotte or Richmond. And you see what happens when Carolina bounces back against a big boy. They get absolutely throttled. Terry, the Virginia-Florida State game is Friday, by the way. It's Friday night. Ooh, boy, you hate that on high school football night. Because I would want to watch that one. Georgia Tech and Wake this weekend. Ramblin' Wreck should be 5-0. Good morning, Zach. How are you? Alan asks, Big Al says, is Belichick's girlfriend still hanging around? Oh, yes. Every day, every game, she's on the sideline. Prometheus says Notre Dame has only one top 25 team left to play. That's USC. Correct, but it won't matter if they win. Wayne says Jordan got ice cream after the wins. She wanted some strawberry ice cream to match the way she smelled. The aromas emanating from the locker room were sadness because of our loss. But I knew once I smelled that whiff of berry that Jordan was around. And I smiled just like this. Duke and Syracuse. Louisville travels to Pittsburgh. Oh, California and BC. Call the neighbors, wake the kids. San Jose State and Stanford. A couple of traditional ACC just stalwarts there, boy. Cal and Stanford. And then, of course, on the C-Dub, Virginia Tech at NC State, 7 o'clock on Saturday from Carter Finley. Oh, boy, a C-Dub broadcast. Big Al says, if Belichick gets fired, does his girlfriend receive a buyout? I don't know. It's a good question. Maybe so. Maybe so. But we'll see. In all seriousness, though, I think Virginia Tech, at least they're not worried about a loss. And like I said, you get back out on the road now. I think it's good they're opening up conference play away. I think that's probably a good thing. How was the crowd on Saturday? I know early it was a late walk-up crowd, right? Did they still have around 50,000? Is that what I heard? I think it was around 50,000-ish. I know the numbers are always going to be skewed and dishonest, but nonetheless. She gets a new Barbie dream house. Oh, thanks, Wayne. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's still new to me. They all turning on the text screen. Yeah, I'm sorry. I know people like that. A million thank yous again for everybody who got us to 500 subscribers. We need to start heading toward the next 500 though. Not trying to be greedy, but just knowing how this stuff works with YouTube. Yeah, there's no chance there's 57K there. Yeah, 50. That's what I've heard. A couple people told me that they thought it was around 45 or 50. 57,000. Okay. Well, even that, and it just goes with what I've been saying. Tech fans are incredible. And you are the least of their problems, regardless of how sometimes it is portrayed that you are the reason they don't have enough of this and that. Tech has plenty of everything. They just haven't gotten it right. Let's just throw all this crap down a little bit. And I know the money numbers there. They're going to get the money from the board, and everything is going to be in place. It's just a matter of making the right decisions. I mentioned earlier in college athletics, and I mean everywhere in college athletics, there are people making a lot of money, make a lot of bad decisions, a lot of selfish decisions, a lot of things that are closed off. They don't utilize the resources they have, primarily the people around them to help them if they need it to make a big decision on a hire or multiple hires. Virginia Tech hasn't gotten it right with people who make a lot of money over there. It's not always about what you don't have. It's what you have in place, and they're not doing their jobs properly. And people are allowed to skate because they're in a certain tax bracket. They have everything in place. Once the budget's announced, they're going to have everything they could possibly need to get this right, and they have to get it right. They haven't gotten football right under Whit Babcock. Facts. It's not a criticism of Whit. I'd gladly sit down and have a drink with him. I'm just saying, in terms of football hires, he's blown it twice in Blacksburg. He didn't do well before that at his other school. That's why he's not going to be part of this. But they have to figure out what they're going to do going forward. And they will, but they have to make sure they get it right. That's why you can't just jump into it. That's why everybody who's trying to Put the carrot before the ostrich. Since I can't remember the saying, I'm just going to make stuff up. Is it the cart before the horse? Is that right? Is that what my granny used to say? Anyway, let me know on the let me know in the tax room. Yes, it is. Thanks, Wade. But everybody's throwing out coaches' names. They have no idea who's going to be on the committee. There's probably people trying to vie for spots on the committee, the hiring committee. We don't know. We won't hear. And I still think they're going to do it wrong if they bring in the GM and then bring in a coach. I think that's taking the NFL model a little too far at the collegiate level, in my opinion. But we'll see. But there's no doubt that, Philip Montgomery is auditioning. If he would want the job, he's auditioning now. Sure. Absolutely. There you go. The GM before the coach, same as cart before the horse. Thank you. GM before the coach is the bellyache before you enjoy the buffet for 45 minutes. It's an emu, not an ostrich. Hoagie Bob says. You're right. You're right. What is the relation to what is the relation between the emu and the ostrich? Are they like cousins? And did somewhere along the line cousins get to know each other a little too well? I mean, they're basically the same, right? An emu and an ostrich. One likes to bury its head in the sand. Yeah, last week's question of the week from our attorney, fan question of the week, Ryan Price said, Shane Beamer won who you wanted to be the head coach. He won that. And I've changed the question on the fly. Maybe I'll do this. Here you go. Because I don't like to think about things too much. So for this week's Ryan Pry, the attorney, fan question of the week. How many ACC wins do you envision Virginia Tech getting under Philip Montgomery? Just give me that number. How many ACC wins going forward do you think? Emus and ostriches are cousins twice removed, Hoagie Bob said. Oh, here we go. On the professional door text line. Emus and ostriches differ in continent and origin. Ostriches native to Africa and emus to Australia. With the ostrich being the largest bird in the world, really? I guess that makes sense. And the emu, the second largest. Physical features, such as the ostrich's striking male black and white plumage versus the emu's all brown feathers and the okay. So they are pretty similar. So yeah, that's going to be the BDST fan question of the week. How many ACC wins do you believe Philip Montgomery will achieve with the conference schedule? Let's remind you what that conference schedule looks like in case you don't have it in front of you. People are already answering. 2, 3. Professional door text line already popping. All right, so you got NC State. Oh, let me just do it. Let me just do it right now. How's that? Is that fun? And remember, Phil Steele said that Clemson was playing in the national championship. So don't try to nail me to the wall and if I miss these. You ready? NC State. I'm going to say Tech loses Saturday. I think they'll play well, but I don't think they're going to win. I think they'll beat Wake Forest. So what's that? 1-1. That's one win. I believe they will lose at Georgia Tech. So 1-2. I believe they will beat California 2-2. I do not believe they beat Louisville 2-3. They will not beat Florida State 2-4. Miami coming here could be a lot closer than people think. We'll see how Miami, can they continue to build? But I'll say Tech loses that game. And then here we go with Virginia. So I've got 2 wins right now. Do I dare say 3? Virginia game's on the road. Yes. Let's just do that. Until Virginia shows they can actually even begin to pretend that this is a rivalry anymore between Virginia and Virginia Tech, let's go with Virginia Tech with 3. I'll say 3. I'll give Philip Montgomery the benefit of the doubt and say they win 3 games in the conference. One way or the other, they might upset somebody along the way. Maybe they win 4. But if they win 3 games, you're looking at a 4-8 season, which means Philip Montgomery would not be considered as a future part of the coaching staff. That's what happens when you start 0-3. Now, I don't think it's going to be a bad if they end up with 3 wins in the conference. I don't think they're going to look horrible. Like, I think they're going to play well Saturday. I think they'll do some things. I think they'll score points. NC State can score points. And we'll see how Tech's defense, basically they had a week off. And they were able to, I know they made a big deal out of certain guys didn't dress and certain guys didn't play. And they wanted to make a statement because of maybe players addressing how players were approaching things. It's easy to do against a team like Wofford. Would that same statement have been applied if this had been the ACC Open? I don't know. That would have had greater impact to me. But it's easy to say we're going to sit guys against Wofford that you don't need anyway. Let's hope that game is completely done forever. Let's hope that is never, ever uttered again. Let's hope the PA guy at Virginia Tech never has to say, and now, ladies and gentlemen, here's your starting lineups for the Wofford Terriers. Yay. Hey, we're going to jump. Wofford, Sandman. Woohoo. We saw this 2 years ago, Prometheus says. Virginia looked okay early and then they fell apart. Correct. So they spent a lot of money. They did. And they have some talented players. Does that end up being a long-term thing? We don't know. Right. They're not a proven product at all, so I can't really give them the benefit of the doubt at all. That's a great point, Prometheus. That's why I'll give Tech that win. Jimmy says, wow, he's rolling the dice. He's got 5 wins. He's got him beating NC State, Wake, Louisville. Oh, so 3 wins in the conference. No, I'm going 5. Huh. Yeah, and that needs to happen, Paul, and it has to. Yeah, the ACC is going to get rid of games like we saw Saturday. They need television numbers. They need the money revenue. And that game wasn't even on television. That game had such little value to anyone involved that they didn't even put it on. They just streamed it. And you should not be a program like Virginia Tech and not have your game on somewhere. And the ACC needs to get rid of that. The SEC needs to get rid of that. And unfortunately, it's going to hurt the budgets of these, smaller schools a lot. Now, the JMUs and the Liberties, that doesn't count. Those will still be part of it. But, yeah, these games against these completely overmatched FCS kids, it's over. You might pay them a lot of money. I understand. It helps them. I get it. But they're going to have to figure it out because the Power Fours, the market it's not going to lend itself to an environment to where this is going to work strictly because of TV dollars. Absolutely. Absolutely. Prometheus. Oh, I love chat. I love the McClellan chat room. I love the professional door text line. Drones for Heisman, Montgomery, ACC Coach of the Year. Well, no. Oh, 5 wins overall. Losses at FSU, Miami, UVA. Is a toss-up. Okay. That's what Jimmy was saying. Gotcha. It's Monday, Jimmy. Give me a little time here. I mean, I'm sitting here trying to figure out the difference between ostriches and emus. That's how this thing evolved this morning. Jermaine Ferrell scheduled to join us here coming up. We'll review the high school football weekend. Ron Shelurn, the Radford Hall of Famer, and Zach Helton, the voice at Bluefield State. Phil Robbins passed away, the legendary coach. 7 state titles at Powell Valley High School down in Big Stone Gap, Virginia, the home of Thomas and Julius Jones. I was fortunate enough to get to call games that each of those 2 individuals performed in against Radford High School. Julius was better than Thomas. Phil Robbins told me during one of the pregame interviews in the playoffs that Julius Jones was the best high school football player he'd ever coached. And it showed. Didn't Julius end up at Notre Dame? Is that right? Wasn't Julius Jones at Notre Dame? Is that where he went? Thomas went to Virginia. Thomas Jones wore number 6 and played in Charlottesville. Played in the NFL. I think, didn't Julius go to Notre Dame? I think that's correct. But in any event, rest in peace, Coach. He and Coach Lindenberg were very close. He was at Christiansburg a number of years. And he was always so much fun to talk to. Always gave me a hard time when he would see me coming over there with the recorder. And he was always saying, here comes that Radford radio guy. Trying to get me to, what do you used to say? Squeeze out some secrets about my game plan today. Good dude. And 7 state titles. I mean, you talk about a juggernaut. Powell Valley was an absolute juggernaut. Okay, thank you. Yes, he went to Notre Dame. I thought so. I thought Julius went to Notre Dame. Julius was just an outstanding high school running back. Whew. Julius had it all. But we'll get Zach and we'll talk about that. I need to have David Mabry on here soon, too. Need to get David on here and talk about it. He's got this great thing going on with the high schools and the film. He's finding all this film and refurbishing it. So we need to do that. All right, an update today, since a lot of people hit me up on the professional door text line. All right, so I don't know the status yet between Marty and Coach Rags this week. I'm going to call Coach Ragsdale today. Marty is good to go, but we're waiting on Rags because he has a minor surgical procedure, and he told me to call him today. So I don't know. I didn't want to bother him over the weekend. So as soon as I get a little intel, I'll share it with you tomorrow. But Marty is dedicated. He wants to do this every month with Rags, and Rags loves it. But I don't know yet. So those of you that are hitting me up on the professional or text line, thank you. I do not know yet. So I'll let you know. I'll update you when I can. I do know Matt Roan will be on the program Wednesday. Wes Durham will be on the program on Friday. That's confirmed. Wes will join us from Syracuse. He's on the broadcast this weekend for the Qs. But I will let you know as soon as I hear from Coach Ragsdale. Because if he's having something done, I just want him to be able to – that's the important thing. And if we have to put it off a week, we have to put it off a week. But I don't want to tell you, yeah, this is going to happen, and then it not happen. So that's where we are with that. And I'll update you as we go, as we roll along. I hope it works out. Well, first of all, I hope Coach is okay. But I would love to have them back on. And you know what we need to do sometime? We need to have those two on and get Jeremy Haymore on here too. Where's my book? My book's somewhere. The signed copy of the book I have. Yeah, Wes didn't have a good time calling the Falcons game yesterday. Whew. No doubt. No doubt. Ron Shelburne and Zach Helton a little bit later on. Let's go ahead. We'll take care of business. Let's take care of business now. I want to thank all of our great sponsors. First and foremost, the first sponsor who was with us here on the new format. Family Fencing Studios, 540-200-8294. Go see Family Fencing, familyfencingnrv.com. Doesn't matter the fence, doesn't matter the job. They don't care. They're going to do it. So go see them and see Jason Green and the crew. They're great. McClellan Chiropractic Clinic live chat. It's been a lot of fun. It's always a lot of fun. It explodes with Mark Hundley. We're trying to get over there to do a GoPro, me strapped to the machinery and being popped and screaming for your entertainment. Thanks to Travis Williams, Fresh Door Incorporated, residential commercial garage doors, family and operated, 38 years in business, sponsor of our BDST text line. Thanks, Trav. Lara Ramsey, National Bank, member FDIC. Thanks to them. The official banking and exclusive banking partner of BDST. The attorney Ryan Pryor, and we've already gotten, I don't know, at least a dozen people that have already chimed in. He sponsors our BDST fan question of the week, 701 West Main Street in Radford. So what we're doing is we're asking you, how many ACC wins do you think Virginia Tech's going to achieve now that is what is in front of us? Go see Charles Lee, Little River Heating and Air, 1095 Radford Street in Christiansburg. I know there's already been at least 3 people that have hit him up that watch the show. Thank you so much for that. And you need to go get your heating and air units updated and checked out. And each and every day we are presented by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. I mentioned they had the Seneca cycling team. They came through town. It's unbelievable, the things that they have on. And I'm so honored to be partnering up with them. The Pulaski County Sportsplex continues to be on schedule. They're on the road throughout this month and next month promoting the county sports facilities at the Sports ETA 4S Conference in Maryland. It's national. It's a national conference. Community collaboration is what they're all about. The things that Jonathan Sweet and Tim Miller are doing are amazing, absolutely amazing. So we thank them for all of their assistance and everything. And thanks to you, we're getting a ton of messages on the text line. It's awesome. It's what it's all about. Sponsored by Professional Door and the people who are in the chat room. It's great. Thank you again for 500 subs as we try to continue to build to the next level. Please remind people that it's free. That it's free. Paul, I don't think Travis would do that at this point in the position he's in over in Blacksburg with everything going on. Travis used to be a regular part of the show when he's with WDBJ, but usually SIDs are not people who go out and do interviews when they're trying to organize things. So, yeah. All right. Joining us now on the program, speaking of organization, he is the sports director at WFXR, and his name is Germaine Frell. Germaine, how are you, man? Good morning.
Good morning. You have a kennel in your house or something?
Unfortunately, that's the neighbor's dog.
I was hearing some barking, and I was like, does he have a kennel or something?
Yeah.
I mean, you got your cats, and now you got dogs?
Yeah, he's been out there about 6 years. He still acts like I'm a complete stranger. I don't understand why, but yeah.
It's a dog-eat-dog world, isn't it?
It is, man. It is. Hey, let's talk about it. I'm going to talk about it later on with Zach Helton, but we lost another legend in high school football last night with Phil Robbins passing away. And you had talked about it when we lost Coach Lindeberg. Few people have ever had the success that he did down at Powell Valley, right, with 7 state championships.
You know, growing up in the 80s, I mean, you always heard about Powell Valley and how strong that football program was. And, of course, Coach Robbins, was responsible for that and all that. And it's an interesting era of football. You look at those teams, 70s and 80s and through the 90s. I mean, like I said, these coaches were coaches. Like they were like men's men, and they took nothing from nobody. And I'm not saying the coaches today do that. They don't. But something about playing, I don't know. I tell you, those coaches, we played for a bunch of them. They let you know where you stand real quick. And if you want to try them, you might try one. That's all you do. Try them one time. You do that. But to have all that success, it takes a lot of hard work. It takes a lot of effort. You don't win just by cutting corners or do anything. You do it in the right manner, and these coaches have done that. And yeah, Powell Valley back in the day, like teams from our area would go down there and play them, and you hope you could host them. And even Powell Valley's going on the road, but the biggest thing is like if you go down there to play, that's a tough one. And then now the schools have merged in that area. I mean,
yeah.
So, but yeah, that was playing those teams was no joke. So, thoughts and prayers again to the families down there. But that's tough one right down there. Tough loss.
Looking at the college football weekend, I want to start with that team in Charlottesville. Very impressive. 48 points, and I know Stanford is Stanford right now, but they're in a transitional year with an interim coach. But I tell you what, big year obviously needed. Brent probably didn't get it done. Tony Elliott got hired at the same time, same pressure on him. So far, the Cavaliers have looked the part, and they're going to find out a lot more about themselves this Friday, but obviously with Florida State. But I've been very impressed, Jermaine, with their offense. They also went out and they made some evaluations with their NIL, and it looks like they found a lot of pieces that fit very, very well with how Tony Elliott envisions how that offense is going to go.
Well, I tell you what, having Morris as your quarterback, Chandler Morris, I mean, the thing is the experience he's had, which is kind of interesting with what he's done. Obviously there's been a relationship that Coach Tony Elliott's had, obviously, with his dad when they were all at Clemson. But he even said himself, he said, he made the decision. He felt comfortable coming to UVA. And, yeah, it helps have those relationships. But overall, he fits the offense. He understands the offense. And that's the biggest thing. You want a signal caller, Rick, that can understand your offense. And that offense is humming. I mean, putting up, I think, they had nearly 600 yards last Saturday, and then the Saturday before that, 700. And everybody can probably look at the opponent, but you still got to do it. It doesn't matter who your opponent is. You still have to go and do it. And to be 3-1 right now, and this is the start they envision. It could easily be 4-1 if they would have got NC State, but you're 1-0 on the ACC, and you're right. They're going to know where they stand overall when you talk about playing, Florida State, which Florida State put up 60-some-odd points. I think it's back-to-back times.
Yep.
Back-to-back games where they put up over 60 points. But both teams are going to be on a short week. So it's going to be interesting to see on a Friday night at Scott Stadium against Florida State, the Seminoles, because that program, two programs that, had, tough seasons and trying to get everything back on track. So we'll see what happens. But I can tell you right now, I think the offense, it's going to be a lot of points. Now, defense is going to be the key. Virginia's defense has been decent in spots. So, I think they'll do fine down there. But that's going to be a pretty good game. And it kind of puts you in the mind of a game. I remember, 30 years ago when Virginia knocked off Florida State. And it was Tiki Barber and Rondé Barber and the crew gave Florida State their first ever ACC loss, and that was 30 years ago. Now, that was on a Saturday, and I remember watching that when I was in the Army. And, yeah, that was big. So I think Virginia is going to be ready. I hope that the crowd really shows up. The only thing is I just don't like – again, we talk about it. I hate college football games on a Friday.
I do too.
I mean, it takes away – because think about this. Imagine the recruits you could bring in, especially in the Commonwealth or anywhere else on a Friday. And unless there's a high school team with a bye week, you're not going to have that. So to play on a Friday night, not a big fan of it. I know Ohio State and Michigan told the Big Ten else we're not playing on Friday nights.
Yeah.
We're not at home on Friday nights, and we're on the road. And I guess when you're Michigan, Ohio State, you can say that. In the ACC, you're going to take whatever games you can get on.
You better believe it.
Because you're not going to turn down a game, and you got to take it. But, yeah, and obviously down the line, Virginia Tech will have one against California on a Friday. But I'm just not a fan of that. But that's not here nor there. But it should be a good game.
In Blacksburg, Tech did what was expected. It's hard to discern a whole lot against that kind of opponent. But, Kyron Drones hit some things. Offense looked more cohesive. It was going to. Defense didn't have much of a challenge, but now we'll see. Like some people pointed out, Jermaine in chat, maybe this gives them a little momentum, and they go on the road, and they've got an opponent that can score points, but is also having trouble stopping teams in NC State. So we'll see now as conference play opens up.
I want to say first of all about that game, the Military Appreciation Day. That's what.
Yeah.
I love when I don't care if it's high school, college, the pros. I love Military Appreciation Day games, and they really came up and they really showed how to do that thing. I mean, you had the swearing-ins, you had the Corps cadets. They were fired up and everything, so I really appreciate Virginia Tech's helmets were very patriotic. The Hokies was in script in red, white, and blue, and then the white helmets and the stripes on the helmet. So I really love that. As far as the game itself, and it was kind of interesting, Rick, because I took some video, and it was like 20 minutes before the game, and the stadium felt kind of empty. But then as time progressed, the stadium filled up. I mean, they still had 57,000 fans, which to me, under the circumstances, is great, which shows they still care about football at Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
That would just give me hope and promise. Now, obviously, Tech's been at home the last 3 games, so they hit the road going down to Raleigh in a game that we'll have on CW Virginia. That's the CW game. But to have Tech, I mean, gives you some confidence. And I think really the players, we talked to them after the game, and the players were like, well, we still take what Britt Pry told us about, not quitting, not giving up, and still battling and competing. And I think this was a lesson that they took. And to be honest, I think it was a distraction to help because there was a lot of stuff going on last week. You got, after the football game, Sunday, you find out Coach Pry is there. So, and then you had players that said, hey, we can go one or two ways with this. And I think everybody was expecting players to leave and go into the portal, which they can. But a lot of players are staying there. They're going to bow because where else are you going to go right now? It's not like you can go somewhere and instantly jump in, And so I feel like they did what's expected. 38-6 was, I felt like that was the game. And sometimes you need a game like that to say, okay, now we know what we can do. And if you look at NC State, like you said, Rick, I mean, they've given up a lot of points, over the last couple of games. So if you could get the offense consistent and humming, I mean, who's to say they can't win at NC State? But again, and I think Coach Montgomery, I asked him, how did his experience as a head coach help and, his family? And he says his family was very supportive of him over the years, obviously. And then, like his son's on the staff, his daughter was there, his wife was there, and they took a nice picture at the end. And he also gave a lot of credit to the assistant coaches for being there and doing things to help out with the program. So it was really a win that I think it was more of a relief thing to get off the schneid and get a victory. And, now we'll see what they can do. Because a lot of times, momentum helps. You never know. After you get a win and you can point some things out here and there, And the defense, I know against Wofford, but to hold them to a couple of field goals, that's got to, make your defense feel a little good too. And there's been moments, like I said, Rick, we've seen flashes of this team and what they can do. But now you got to piece it together and play a full game, and I felt like they did that on Saturday.
He is Jermaine Ferrell joining us on the program, the Sportscaster of the Year, and also the sports director at WFXR. We're just breaking down the football weekend. That's what we do. We watch, and then we talk about it. I mean, I got to ask you about Dabo, Jermaine, and Clemson. I know they're out of our –
Rick, they're 1-3.
I mean –
who would have thought they were 1-3? Man?
Wow. Phil still had them going to the national title game. They're 1-3. What's up?
You probably need to call Phil Steele and say, Phil. But there's something. I mean, Dabo is again. He's a coach. He pretty much said, "Hey, if you want to get rid of me," it's always like it's always when you hear him, it's always like he's daring them.
He kind of does.
He's like, okay, you want to get rid of me? Okay, I dare you to fire me because I'll fire, and he will get another job. But I feel like you have to change with the times in coaching. I mean, he's still stuck in the mirror. I don't want to get into the portal. I don't want to. But you know what? If you want to have success, you can't. Sometimes you got to adjust with the times, and that's anything in life. I mean, yeah. I mean, I made a comment. I think I was in the station. About how styles change, and I feel like I'm like the get off my lawn type guy now.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
But it's like, but at the same time, you got to adjust. And he said, "Well, I'm still like I feel like I'm the best coach right now. He's 55 and he's young. He's right around our age." But I thought Dabo was a little older than 55, but I guess
I did too.
When he said that, he said, "Hey, I'm 55. Come after me. I'm a man. I'm 55 or whatever." But I think with Dabo, I think it's a little stubbornness, and sometimes you got to adjust. And guess what? I mean, heck, the way you do things, you have to adjust with the times, and it's a thing where you might have to, like I said, you have to say, hey, look, I mean, maybe you get some different people. I mean, if you look at all the coaches who've gotten out of the business, the reason is they don't want to deal with this headache or the NIL and the things of that nature, the transfer portal and all that. And yeah, if you want to run your program that way, that's fine. But you realize programs are getting ahead of you. So as I say, if you look at like with Virginia Tech, they did a look and say, hey, look, what the way we're doing things is not working. Look at our record. And yeah, he said, well, yeah, I've been in the college football playoff. We were in it back in 2020, and we won national championship in 2019. But guess what? It's a what have you done for me lately thing. It's like Janet Jackson, one of my wife's favorite singers. She calls Janet Jackson her sister, which, yeah, that's a good thing if you like Janet.
That'd be a good sister-in-law to have.
That's Jackson. Yeah. But my wife loves Janet Jackson and Whitney and all those great singers. But the thing is, it's what have you done for me lately? I mean, that's the type of business that we're in, and you can't rest on what you've done in the past. That's like me saying, okay, I'm Virginia Sportscaster of the Year, so I can rest on my laurels. And no, I mean, you still want to improve and get better and get stronger at what you do, but he's stubborn. I mean, you can just tell. It just feels like he's just stubborn. Like everybody's, he hates being. He's one of those types of people who don't like being criticized. He's like, well, dude, you 1-3.
Yeah, he is.
Bill Parcells says your record says what your record says it is.
That's right.
And 1-3 is not good. Right. And the one win you got, it wasn't like that was a clean, dominant win. So Syracuse came down there, punched him in the mouth, and took a chunk out of Howard's Rock. And if you look at their schedule down, I don't know who they got next. I can't remember who they got next, but I think they got I don't look it up. But anyway, the point is you're 1-3 right now. You got a loss in the league. And right now you gotta look at who's rocking the scene in the ACC. And right now you gotta look at you gotta look at Florida State, you gotta look at Miami, and this is a league that can be got. It's not like there's this dominance of a league. But Dabo, I think, if he wants to continue to be stubborn, then you're going to see the results. And I think and they put money in their program and they did what they had to do to get everybody there. But Rick, I mean, at some point, you gotta get something done. And I'm not saying you get rid of Dabo, but I think Dabo really needs to look in the mirror and say, okay, am I doing everything I can to help the Clemson Tigers win? He feels like he is, but the results show 1-3. So that's not getting it done. And again, when you're used to all the success, that's what you like to see. But yeah, he's going to have to do something really quick.
Well, we continue to jump around. Speaking, by the way, of what your record saying, your record tells you what you are. Salem football is 0-4. Now, you'll know the numbers at some point. I don't know the last time they were 0-4. We knew the last time they were 0-3, it was like the mid-early 90s. They get clobbered by Dinwiddie. Now, obviously, that was going to happen. Dinwiddie's really good, and maybe they'll get it right in district play. But Salem football 0-4 is unbelievable. I'm not trying to pile on. I see that record, and I just can't believe what I'm saying.
Yeah, that last time they were 0-4, you got to go back to 81.
81. I knew you'd know. Wow.
This is before Willis White. And that was the first time they were shut out in a game. This was the first time they were shut out in a game. It was a playoff game. It was a state semifinal or final against Sharando, 7-0 in 2013. And I think it was the first time Salem was shut out in a regular season game. You had to go back to 2008 in a regular season game. So, again, they've had a lot of injuries, a lot of players no longer on the team, and it's just a tough deal for Salem. But, right now, it's just all about, trying to grow as a program. And again, they've had a lot of success over the years. And, Don Holter's a tremendous coach, and there's pedigree at Salem. These kids, they know what it's all about, winning and all that. Now, they play Friday at home against Blacksburg. They after being on the road the last couple of games, they come back and play Blacksburg. And Blacksburg, they've suffered a couple of tough losses recently. They've lost to Floyd, and they've lost to an Alta Vista team, which is, they're a Class 1 team to come in and beat a Class 4 team. That's pretty big. Alta Vista, we know how good they are. They're a good ball club. Their only loss was the Lunenburg Central, and that was a close game. No, I take it back. It wasn't against Lunenburg Central. I got to remember. It's just so much game stuff, but they've only had that one loss. It was a close loss, and I think it was Lunenburg Central. I'm sure David Mabry, if you're on there, correct me, David, because he's the source too when it comes to Alta Vista. Yeah. But they were at they played Lord Bata pretty strong. But yeah, Salem is again a program that you expect them to have success, and I think again, now you're at a point of the season, looking at some of the early rankings, and they would almost have to run the table and probably need help to get into the playoffs. And when you look at the River Ridge District, right now Patrick Henry is the strong team in the district. They're 4-0, and they got a good win over William Fleming. And right now, you'd have to say they're probably the favorite to win the district. Yeah. But then after that, you got like Christiansburg's 0-4, which they've had some tough losses themselves. Pulaski looks good. They played Stanton River real strong in the first half, and in the second half, they were shut out. That was a tough loss for them. But I think there's some things that are working in their favor down there. Hidden Valley struggling a little bit. They lost to James River, so they're struggling. But again, first-year program and still trying to get some things going there. K-Spring got a good win over Tunstall down there. And so, really that district's going to be interesting. Right now, you'd have to say, really the team that's been really rocking the scene in the district is in Patrick Henry. To win 3 straight road games, and then you win at home on your city rival, a game that, it was 14-2. And that Patrick Henry defense, Rick, I know we were talking about Salem, but Patrick Henry's defense, they only give up 2 offensive scores, all season. And those were, on the road, so you got to do what you got to do. And that was against Franklin County down there. But then they held Fleming, which is a strong team, held them to a safety. They gave that up in the end zone. Other than that, they would have had another shutout. And so that Patrick Curry team is really looking good. But as far as Salem's concerned, right now you just have to get through it. You have practice and try to get a win, because really at the end of the day, that's just a tough situation for the Salem Spartans and Don Holter's crew. And like I said, sometimes things like that happen. I mean, when you have success for a long stretch of time, there's going to be a year where if you have a bunch of injuries and other circumstances, I mean, you're going to have an off year. And again, I mean, Salem is good enough to get a winning streak going, but they're going to dig out of a big hole. And the question is, they're going to have to run the table. And at worst, maybe you can lose one more game, but even then, it's going to be tough because that region has got a lot of good teams in it. And, Jefferson Forest right now is rocking and rolling in that region. They're 4-0, and they've been rolling. So we'll see what happens with that. But, yeah, Salem, I don't think they'll be down that long. It's Salem. Still at Salem. It doesn't matter what you do. It's still Salem Spartans. You can never count them out.
Well, Jermaine, great stuff as always, my friend. We appreciate you taking time to join us. And you and I will connect a little later in the week, and we'll have our 4th and Goal review and preview, getting ready for what are we at now? Week number 5 coming up, right? Wow.
Yeah, the five. I got 5 on it. Lunitz got 5 on it. Oh, wait a minute.
Got a 5. Farrell's 5, week 5. Yeah.
I had the wrong hand up. This is the hand.
There you go. All right, brother.
Or you can't see me or something like that.
There you go. Well, man, have a great rest of the midweek, and we'll see you in a couple of days.
Good. And by the way, congratulations on getting to 500.
Thank you, man. Yeah, that's pretty cool in a month. I'm pretty happy with that. Now we got to get to the next 500. If I get to the next 500, I'm allowed to be on for at least 3 years. So there we go.
Well, hey, you get it out there. It's kind of like you're spreading the world. Get that stuff going. But again, congratulations, and we'll see you later on. And like I said, the reason why is you got a lot of good content, got a lot of great guests come on the show, and it really helps to have a deep bench of people you can tap for anything, whether it's the NFL or college or Virginia Tech or high school, whatever. So congratulations, and give Mr. Helton my best too. By the way,
I will give Zach a hello for you. All right, brother. You take care of yourself.
Hey, he's the original Zach Attack. I know for people probably don't know Saved by the Bell.
He is.
He's the original Zach Attack.
He is. The whole character was based on him.
That's right. Yeah, he had the big blonde pooped off hair back then.
That's right. All right, man. Have a great couple days. I'll see you on Wednesday.
You too. Take care.
All right, take care. Jermaine Ferrell joining us on the program. Ron Shelburne here in moments, and then and Zach Helton. We're going to talk a little bit more about Phil Robbins with Zach, voice of Bluefield State. So looking forward to that. Zach's a great dude. Great dude. Good broadcaster, too. Hit us up in the McClellan Chiropractic chat room. Hit us up on the BDST Professional Door text line as well. We'd love to hear from you. As always, here on the program as we roll along. Let's get caught up here. Yeah, Jason Giles looking good. Big win over NARS. I loved watching the highlights just to see the green and gold against the red and blue. Those unis, classic. 3 Rings football. Hey, speaking of David Mabry, David, I got to get you on the show soon. We got to fix that. Alta Vista lost to Central Lunenburg 21-14 and to Lord Botetourt. There you go. See, he would know. He would know what David's doing with these high school videos is amazing. It's so cool. It's so cool. I saw the one posted. It was Coach Hicks. We had won Roanoke Valley District at home. It's a picture of Coach Hicks, and he's up on the shoulders of you got Jack Turner in front, number 33. You got Michael J. Smith, number 9. Johnny Myers, number 45. Big Red. And I'm the guy right in behind Johnny. Johnny and I had just got through celebrating. Coach reaches over and he's grabbing a hand. If you see that picture, I'm the guy whose hand Coach has. And my head's just visible enough around Johnny. You can see that it's me. And David, I think he had that up on his site or the Virginia, the high school Facebook logo. I was like, hey, that's me. So I copied it and pasted. I'll send that to myself and download that. That was me. Coach was grabbing my hand. But anyway, great stuff to relive all that. And, we just lost another one in Phil Robbins. The beat goes on as we get older and older. But I guess that's what happens. It's unfortunate, but that's what happens. David Smith will be on tomorrow. We'll talk some NFL, but I didn't I'm very bitter. Broncos have lost at the buzzer the last 2 weeks, field goals. Bo Nix ain't it. I didn't watch much football. After that, Commanders crushed the Raiders 41-24 without Jaden Daniels. You watch these games, the Browns look like the most inept team I'd ever seen in my life. That's one game I was watching. Had no points, very few first downs. They were down 10-0, and then the Packers made some mistakes, and then the Browns walked it off with a field goal at the end, 13-10. The Buccaneers blew a large lead. The Jets were down and out, came back from 17 down to take the lead. The Bucs then rallied, won the game 29-27. There's never enough points. You can never have a big enough lead in the NFL. Eagles, they blocked the field goal. The Rams are trying to win it with a field goal. Eagles block it and run it in for a touchdown. And it's what the NFL has been working for a long, long time. But ultimately, I don't know if that's – I guess it's as long as it's good for business and the ratings are good, they don't care. But games are never, ever over. Yeah, we talked about that, Hokie Bob. Jalen Lane got his first touchdown. Tootin and Lane each scored touchdowns yesterday, former Virginia Tech Hokies. We've mentioned our sponsors. We're going to mention them here quickly. Family Fencing Studios. Thank you so much, Family Fencing, for sponsoring our studio here in Reiner, McClellan Chiropractic. The attorney, Ryan Pry, our BDST fan question of the week. As I checked the professional door text line, already at least 24 answers. We're asking you how many ACC wins you think Virginia Tech's going to end up with. Little River Heating and Air, Charles Lee and Company. I know at least 3 of you have already called and gotten Charles to come take care of your stuff because you heard us talking about it. Thank you. That's what it's all about. It's what it's supposed to be about. National Bank, member FDIC, thanks to Lara Ramsey, exclusive banking partner BDST. And I just mentioned Travis Williams and Professional Door. Garage doors, residential, commercial, 38 years in business. Go see them, Route 100 in Dublin, right across from New River Community College. That's a beautiful place anyway. It's worth just driving around 100. It's such a nice area. So in any event, thanks to all those folks. And if you want to help us out, we would love to hear from you, potential sponsors. All right, Zach Helton joins us in hour number 3, and I look down and see he's now in our green room and ready to go. Here he is, the Radford Hall of Famer. That's right. Get those golden pipes cleared out, my friend. It's Ron Shelurn. What's up, number 42?
You have had me in the green room for a long time, my man.
Yeah, that's true. I guess so.
And I feel so honored even to have made it that far, Rick. I really am. I will be in your green room anytime, brother.
Did our people take care of you? Did you get the refreshments like you were supposed to get in the green? We always like to leave cookies and Kool-Aid out for the green room.
Well, I was expecting some banana nut bread and this time of day, but that's all good. Hey, it's all good. I need to drop a few pounds.
Okay, well, we're just looking after you. Just looking after
you. I know you do. I know you do.
We had the news about Phil Robbins, and obviously you were a basketball star, but we think about that, and we think about these coaches. And I know when you talk about when you were playing and so forth with Coach Wiley, and how those times, I know you and Coach Davis and with Oliver Purnell, and when we lose these people, we talk about it and we talk about their careers, but it's people like yourself that were really affected, as much as anybody, right? Because of the way, the influence that they have. And that's why they're legends, right? How many people they've influenced and will continue to influence as long as you live once you go through their programs.
Yes. Oh, yeah. And you think of the coaches, they get so much notoriety. And again, I think we'll always be fresh off the Norm Lindbergh tribute down at the Dedman Center. And all the lives that he touched. And you look at those school teachers, all the lives that they touched. And I look at all those coaches, Coach Wiley, obviously, Coach Burns, and then, onto the college ranks. And I often think about the assistant coaches, somewhat the unsung heroes. Sometimes, it's a good assistant coach that is the glue that holds everything together. I look at when Coach Purnell really started getting it untracked at Radford, when we really got on the right rails. No coincidence, Ron Bradley had showed up and was his associate head coach, which was huge. And I also think about at Pulaski, I think of, two assistant coaches that had a big influence on me. Mickey Hickman.
Yeah,
he was my JV coach, and basically kept me around. Didn't cut me from the JV team in 9th grade. That was the first organized sport, really, outside of Dixie Youth baseball that I had ever went out for. And let's face it, you don't get cut from your rec league team,
right? Right.
Although I probably, pushed those boundaries a time or two. But so Coach Hickman kept me around for no other reason than I was 6'4" in 9th grade, and then worked with me every day. And I think of Arthur Johnson. And it's funny that we're talking about this. Coach Johnson, he was a tough guy. So was Coach Hickman, but those guys, you always knew they had your back. And I think of those two, and I think of specific times where they had my back. And that's carried me on later on in life, being in management and so forth. I've put different situations that I've been in, personnel situations, doing what's right, but do I have this person's back? Are they doing the right things? Was it a bad break or whatnot? And I'll share this. Coach Johnson, my sophomore year, we're doing layups. And, keep in mind, back in those days, you didn't officially start basketball practice before whatever the legal time was.
Right.
But you started working out.
Sure.
And, back in those days, you had advanced PE for football and basketball, which the last period of the day you started practice.
Absolutely. Yep.
If you're out of season, you're, in the weight room, you're doing individual skills, whatever. And it was great. And, but this was early. It was probably about this time of year, my sophomore year, and that team was just loaded with talent. And everybody almost could dunk on that team, except the 6'6" kid out of Snowville, Virginia, which was me. And again, this is just, I had completed 1 year of organized basketball.
Right.
And so, they pick me up, I'm working with the varsity and so forth. And I mean, you've got Michael Porter, doing whatever, and everybody else, just throwing down. And then I'm coming back in the layup line. And again, this is like October or something, early October. And Coach Johnson said to me, and again, this was 1984, was that 41 years ago? He said to me, and he wasn't being nasty about it, he wasn't going all Andy Reid on me.
Right.
Which was fine. You got to have that.
You got to have that. You got to have it. You need it.
And he said, Shelburne, when are you going to start playing above the rim? And that hit me. That hit me. And even in some of my sales teams, last year, 2024, my sales team, our mantra, our logo was play above the rim. And I told them, I said, look, I told my sales team, I said, Coach Johnson meant a couple things. Number one, yes, he did mean you need to start learning how to dunk the ball. We got in these layup lines when we go out for pregame, it's not going to look good for the tallest kid not to be dunking. So let's fix that. So yes, sir, I got it. I am
finger roll.
Yeah, slapping the backboard, going that way and slapping the backboard. Wasn't cutting it. And Coach Johnson made the point in a nice way. And I said, yes, sir, I'll work on it. But Coach Johnson meant a couple of other things when he said, when you want to start playing above the rim, hey, you need to play better defense. You need to be a better teammate. You need to make sure you're playing above the rim in the classroom. Across the board, every time you show up to practice, you need to be playing above the rim. And here we are 41 years later. And again, I'm conducting sales. And in fact, a little memento we had for what my sales team did last year. They did great, but it was on there, play above the rim. And that was drilled into me. So you're exactly right. Those coaches, again, that's one example. I think the things, Coach Wiley, he had some memorable quotes as well. Maybe the after hours version of BDST will talk about that.
Yeah. We need to have a late night with Coach Wiley. I remember some of his quotes. Oh my goodness gracious.
Yeah, this is still prime time, and I guess it still means something. I'm not sure, but we'll have to talk. No, but great stuff. Great stuff. People that pushed you to be better. And, you're right. You're right. And look, in the heat of the moment, in the heat of the battle, tempers flare again. I was joking about the Andy Reid sort of thing. I mean, that was, that's sports. That's football. Kelsey may have needed to get jacked up. And let's be honest. We all really know what Andy Reid wanted to say to him. It probably had something to do. Get off the cover of People magazine and get back on the cover of Sports Illustrated.
Right. The Hall of Famer Ron Shelburne joining us on the program. Of course, he started at Pulaski County, and you mentioned the name. I think the last time we had you on, we were going to talk a little bit more about Michael Porter. Now, many people who are watching this already know the legend of Michael Porter is utterly – you can't ever overstate the talent level of Michael Porter. And I believe if he'd have stayed on the correct path, unfortunately that didn't happen. He would have gone down as the greatest basketball player that the state of Virginia has ever produced. And I know that's a large statement, but that's the impact he was starting to have, wasn't it? As he got up into the national rankings his junior and senior year. And you were there for it.
I was. Back then, Street and Smith, that's kind of the unofficial
Street and Smith magazine. Yep.
It's the unofficial Bible of high school basketball recruiting. Okay.
Absolutely.
If that's still a thing, high school basketball recruiting, I think it is.
Yeah, I guess.
But I mean, that was when I started playing basketball, I became a basketball junkie. I got my hands on anything about it. I obsessed over the sport, getting better. And Street and Smith. And I would just read these profiles of these high school players. And again, they were all from Northern Virginia, Richmond, Hampton Roads, Chicago, Los Angeles, those big cities in Texas, New York City. And son of a gun, there's something about some kid from Pulaski, Virginia. And that doesn't just happen by accident, not without a lot of just pure raw talent. And the legend of Mike, it was amazing. So he was profiled in Street and Smith, which was insane. Okay. And, Julian Brown, the guy who's kind of behind this Virginia Legends Facebook posts.
Yes.
These Facebook pages that have taken off like a rocket. And
we got to get him on here. I got to get him on.
He would be great. And I think Julian, initially his vision was, let's start this out talking about, ball players from Northern Virginia. And then a guy that I used to trade paint with down in the paint, Everett Watkins, who had a great career at Virginia State. He convinced Julian, hey, let's make this thing big. Let's expand to the rest of the state. So he and Everett teamed up. And, and Everett's doing a great job, and Julian as well. I mean, they're profiling people throughout the state. And then now they're doing the football page, which took off like wildfire.
Yeah, absolutely.
Took off like wildfire. And But Julian had some background with Mike Porter. He was very, very familiar with Mike Porter. And he and I talked, and he was talking about the school that, because Mike did come. He had family, still has family in the Pulaski area.
Right.
He came out of Northern Virginia, transferred down here, I think his 8th grade year, somewhere in middle school. And but Julian knew the school that had he stayed in Northern Virginia, the team he would have been on, which was, it was like almost 3 Street and Smith type guards on that team. And but Julian's Pages, I'm getting somewhere here. Julian's Pages has reignited, the legend of Mike Porter, and is putting it out there and is bringing that back 40 years afterwards. Just what a killer he was. And then all my years of basketball, all of the different players I played against, and playing at Radford, each year we played against some folks, multiple times that went on to the NBA, and I never saw anything close to Mike Porter.
Exactly. And you played against a lot of great players. You played with Hall of Fame players at Radford, Big South. You played power schools. There was nothing like it. And I just remember it was always highlighted so much when he would go head-to-head against Richard Morgan, the Ballyhoots, Salem Star for going to Virginia. Oh, my. Yeah. And it was complete and utter embarrassment for Richard Morgan every time because Mike Porter wanted that assignment. I don't think he ever scored double figures against Mike. I don't think he even came close, to be honest with you.
And Richard Morgan, great talent. Talent.
Yeah.
Wanted it more than anything. And I got to play against Richard afterwards. I guess my freshman year at Radford, we played UVA.
Mm-hmm.
And Richard, it was amazing that those two talents came along at the same time. But that just shows, number one, the population that Southwest Virginia and the Roanoke Valley had back in those days. But it showed the strength of the Roanoke Valley district. There was tons. Every night in that league, you were going against somebody.
Yeah.
And you were going against somebody that thought they could take Mike. Okay. Whether it be the boys down at William Fleming, they were always loaded for bear. They did not back up an inch. And, but with Richard Morgan, and I don't, as big a deal as those matchups were. That's when, halftime of the JV game, the stands are packed.
Absolutely.
Standing room only to see those two. And this is no disrespect to anybody, but I don't know that Mike ever really took those games seriously.
I think you're right. He knew.
And
right.
He knew, and he had no problem. And I've never seen a player that at AAA level back then, when there was only 3 levels, I've never seen somebody to be able to take it up another notch. He could mash the gas at any time.
Anytime.
He knew anytime he wanted to. So the final game, Porter Morgan, it's down at Salem, regular season game. We're winning. Porter again dominates. Well, at the end, Mike did pick it up there right at the end. Mike, are you still there with me?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, thought I lost you for a minute. No,
you're good. You're good. You sound loud and clear.
Okay, good deal. Hey, Starlink is good, but again, I'm in the
I understand. It happens here from time to time. No big deal. Technology, baby.
But Mike Porter put an exclamation point on that whole rivalry for 4 years. The guy could get steals at any time. And at least 2 times at the end, and he would always give the fans what they wanted. He'd tease them a little bit. And I think out of a nod, out of, what that rivalry meant, and for him just to make sure that there was no disputing who was the best, Porter got a couple of steals at the end of the game, half court. And I've never seen a player to be able to get a steal and then dribbling the ball and could just accelerate from his opponent. Only a couple people could accelerate from the defender, dribbling the ball while the other person's running flat out, trying to keep up with him. And so he would have plenty of time to do whatever dunk he wanted to do. And, Mike, to be a 5'11" guy, the guy was strong. Physically, he was strong. And he was all about the power. He could do finesse, but he would attack the rim. And 2 times he threw down 2 incredible dunks. One of them is floating around, where he's, got it cocked. He would always go off 2 feet. That's where he would get his power from. And even full court or even in traffic, he could still plant himself and get up. And he threw down 2 nasty dunks right at the end of the last time Porter Morgan and I think that was his way of saying, let's be serious here. There's no comparison.
Well, and I know people, they didn't see it. They weren't around for the air, are going to roll their eyes. But when I saw Michael Jordan develop into what he I would tell people, I've seen this before. And I saw this up at the gym at Pulaski County High School.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, his fate did not end up that way for myriad of reasons, but it was very similar, wasn't it? What we saw that develop into with the greatest of all time, and then what we had here. Not saying it was going to end up that way, but at that time, I had seen things like that before from Michael Porter.
Yeah, and and I've always said this. And I think our old buddy Randy Overson one time, talked about how just the game came so easy to Mike Porter. The game of basketball, it came so easy. And I've always wondered if sometimes he would just create adverse situations just to stay interested. I mean, look, he was a man among boys. And I mean all this, everything about it with respect. 2 games in particular. One, I was a spectator. Well, honestly, I think I was a spectator to both of them. One of them I was in the stands. One of them I was on the court with them. But really, there was Mike and there was 9 spectators out there.
Right.
One was in the state tournament against Mount Vernon. He picks up 4 fouls in the first half. And that was this is state semifinals, Mount Vernon High School. Frank Smith, the QB for Mount Vernon.
Yes.
The point guard. And again, only Oliver Purnell could convince him to give up a full ride to Nebraska in 1984. Tom Osborne, all that, and come play basketball at Old Dominion University. Okay, but he did, and had a great career. I mean, right out of the gate, had such an impact. But Frank Smith's the point guard, loaded team. Mike picks up 4 fouls in the first half. Played the second half with 4 fouls. Played it with, just not saying reckless, but he played very, very aggressively, and Pulaski goes on to win by 12. Flash forward the next year, the second annual Arby's Classic down in Bristol, Virginia. We're playing a team out of Greenville County, South Carolina, loaded team. I mean, in that tournament, you saw a lot of it was small college teams.
D1 guys everywhere, yeah.
Every team showed up. They had D1 players.
Yeah.
That was the profile of this person. I mean, the team we played in the championship had 2 guys that were already committed to ETSU the next year, 6'9" and 6'6". Okay. And they had nothing for Porter. And, so we're playing in the semifinals of the Arby's Classic out of this team, and they were loaded from Greenville High School out of South Carolina. I mean, multiple 6'7" guys. I mean, high-powered offense. Again, Mike picks up 4 fouls in the first half. The second half, and at halftime, Coach Wiley calmed everybody and said, "Fellas, we've been here before. We've been here before, and we know what to do." I mean, Coach Wiley, to his credit, slowed things down. Okay, slowed things down. Had great temperament and said, "We know what to do." Threw a couple things up there. Just kind of nodded to Mike. Mike went out there again with 4 fouls on a neutral court. Okay, I mean, played so aggressively. I'll never forget. I was a spectator. I was on the court, and I remember seeing him block this guy who goes up. It looked like it was going to be an easy layup. Mike comes out of nowhere. And I mean, matched him, blocked it. Clean block. He was playing aggressively. I mean, it was almost like he was daring the officials to call that 5th foul.
To call the 5th foul, right.
And he was a guy playing like he had 1 foul on him, not 4. And long story short, goes out. I mean, we're down at half against a very good team. At the end of the game, we end up winning by, 10, 12 points, something like that. And, I mean, their coach was just disgusted. He was disgusted that this one guy could do this. And, so that was and again, that was just one, just a couple of examples of where you see it publicly. But privately in the gym, oh, yeah, he was – it just came easy. And
the one thing, Ron, before we let you go, you talked about – I've heard other players at the time. He was very unselfish. It's not like he wasn't a guy that was like, I'm going to get mine. He just got his, and he wanted the whole team. The whole team concept was never lost on him, and I think that added – an extra layer to his greatness that even at that level, a lot of high school kids are so immature. He didn't think that way. He had an old man's way of thinking, if you will. I think I heard Coach Wiley say once, he had an old man way of playing the game as it was mindset. And he was always team oriented, always.
Yeah. Yeah. No one can ever say that Mike Porter was me first or
no.
You can never say he was a ball hog. Okay. Never. If Mike had confidence in you, he would get the ball to you. And again, we're talking about the jumping. That's what people will most remember about Mike Porter. A close second for me was seeing the passes that he could thread. He could thread a pass from half court to the baseline, unlike anything you ever saw. He could throw the basketball like a baseball.
Yeah.
And if he had confidence in you, and again, my whole thing, this is my second year of basketball, 6'6", I'm 14, 15 years old. The coordination hasn't quite caught up. And here comes this talent throwing me a ball. And I'm like, please, Lord, don't let it hit me in the face. And it was unbelievable, the passes he would get. Yeah. And I always said, man, if I'd have had one more year, but the thing after Mike, I had, there's no talent comparing that, but I always had great guards that could find a way to break to the middle and get the ball to wherever. But I always thought, if I'd have had one more year of experience, I could have probably, picked up 12, 15 points a game just from Mike Porter's crumbs, just the passes that he could get to you just for easy layups or short jumpers around the basket. And but anyway, and Ray Cox wrote an article in the Roanoke Times, it was probably, 15, 20 years ago when he was covering the state, covering the high school state tournament, and was talking about all the great players and all the great teams that he saw. And then said, and Ray would be critical, with Mike, at different times in the paper, but Ray went through there and just went through them all and said the best player ever, Mike Porter, hands down.
Yeah.
And that was really that wasn't just, a fanboy, for Mike Porter. Ray was a great writer, and he was objective. And that was, and to me, I always remember that article, and that came with authority.
Man, I wish we still had reporters like that. Man, we had an era of people like that, didn't we? With Randy and Randy King, Jack Bogajic, and obviously Ray Cox. Man, oh man, just
Ray Cox, Bob Teitelbaum.
Bob Teitelbaum was terrific, just terrific.
Great. Made the all-name team for sports reporters.
Yeah, Bob Teitelbaum, absolutely.
Doug Dowdy. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Doug always about 2 or 3 times.
Doug Dowdy,
career.
Yeah.
Doug Dowdy would show up, and it would always be at a Cave Spring game, and Doug would be in there. And Coach Wiley always got a kick out of it when Doug would cover a game. I guess he just knew the level he was at. UVA beat writer, and for him to show up to the high school games and stuff.
Correct.
I remember Coach Wiley always got a kick out of that when he would show.
That's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Well, man, listen, it's always great to visit with you. I appreciate you sharing those memories on those great teams with the greatest of all time. But you're right up there too. You're right up there too. You're right up there in that.
And look, Mike inspired us. He's inspired me.
Sure.
I mean, Hey, I'm not going to lie. I thought, man, I wonder if I could be profiled on Street and Smith.
Yeah.
And I tried my best. It didn't happen, but that's okay. I ended up going further because I was trying, I guess. But Mike Porter, I mean, he inspired me. He inspired me to take my game up. And but again, I guess my nugget of the day, my goal for today is to play above the rim, like
play above the rim.
Challenged me to 41 years ago to play above the rim. And we're coming full circle. You're right. Those coaches that had an impact on us and those teachers, you never forget the lessons they taught you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, all right, brother. Well, listen, thanks for jumping on. We'll do this again here soon. And appreciate you as always, man. Always great visiting with you. Always.
Thank you, Rick. Appreciate what you're doing, man. The show's great.
Yeah. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. We're getting there. We're trying. Oh,
yeah. Play above the rim, big dog.
Playing above the rim every day.
Playing above the rim. That's it.
All right, man. Have a great day. Have a great week.
You too. Take care.
Talk to you. All right. Great stuff, man. Ron Shelburne. Now, Hall of Famer. Appreciate that. That's great. I just love listening to that. He was right there in person playing with Mike. And you're right. If he decided to throw you a pass, you don't drop it. Don't let it go through your hands. And then don't miss the finish on the other end, or you may not see the ball again. We appreciate that a whole lot. Zach Helton will join us here coming up, voice of Bluefield State. We're going to talk a little bit more about Phil Robbins, who passed away yesterday evening. We've lost another great, legendary coach here in the Valley and beyond throughout the state. He affected so many people. I want to thank Family Fencing. They sponsor our studio, 540-200-8294. At familyfencingnrv.com. Doesn't matter the kind of fencing you want, residential, commercial, agricultural. They come, they assess. There's no mess. Free quotes. They have payment plans. Go see them. I know a lot of you have already called. Please continue to hit them up. Thanks to Mark Hundley, McClellan Chiropractic. We're going to go over one day and do a little short video of me trying out the equipment just to show you what all they have over there. He's all ready to go. So I have to pick out a day here soon and get that done. But now they don't jump on your back anymore, that you can have it that way, but they put you up on these machines and it was really wild watching how that stuff worked, man. So we're going to get in there and we're going to do that. Each and every day, this show presented by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. We've been talking about all the great things that they've done, giving you highlights of where they're looking from beyond our region here across the entire country, heck, even internationally with the new multi-plex that's coming our way. It's just so great that my home area where I grew up has this many people that are thinking out of the box to create more industry, to create more revenue, to create more excitement. This is going to be a place where people are going to come, Southwest Virginia, Pulaski County, for national events. And that's one of the goals. It's going to happen. It's already happening, and it's going to happen even more so. I want to thank Little River Heating and Air, 295 Radford Street in Christiansburg. Thanks to all of them. For everything that they do. Go see Charles Lee. I believe he told me he's had 3 jobs. Thank you so much for giving him a call. They're the best. And like I said, I was at a basketball trip, had a note from my neighbor, heard a large noise at your house. We think your house. It was one of those rare February thunderstorms. Sure enough, that lightning had hit my air and heat units, destroyed. My son was here. He's in school, and Dad, we don't have any heat. I get back. Okay. Well, now we know why. They came and assessed, showed me what was going on. Later that day, they gave me options. Next morning, I'd ordered it. Next day, everything was here. They were here with the truck. And I'm thinking, this is going to take a long time. I left that morning, thanked them for coming. I thought, well, I wonder what this is going to look like when I got home at the end of the day. The new units were up. New temperature gauges were up. They were gone. There wasn't one bit of evidence in the yard that they'd been here. Blew me away. Go see him. Ryan Pry, the attorney in Radford, 701 West Main Street. He sponsors our BDST fan question of the week. And we've already gotten, I don't know, I have to count them up, at least 24 people already. We're asking how many ACC wins Tech ends up with now. That is the schedule ahead. And go see the attorney, Ryan Pry, prylawoffice.com. The exclusive banking partner of this program is National Bank. Member FDIC, Larry Ramsey. Go see them. I've been with her for 35 years. I've never had an issue. Go see them. And she's going to do a great job as the president and CEO. And thanks to Professional Door Incorporated, Travis Williams up in Dublin, residential, commercial garage doors, owned and operated 38 years in business. Route 100 right across from NRCC. So go see all those wonderful, wonderful folks. I love that story, playing above the rim. We talked about coaches' impact and what it means and why we talk about these coaches and why these coaches have so much influence even after they're gone. Well, joining us now on the program, if I can find it here. Yeah, hang on, I got to introduce him properly as we get him here on the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, the Big Blue in the house.
There we go.
There you go. And eventually, Zach, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have something back here, a shelf or something. There you go. Thanks, man. That's awesome.
Hey,
look at that.
You're welcome, big man. Like, as soon as I heard we've got to update the man cave, I said, I've got some stuff here I think would look good. I would have sent you my Richlands helmet, but I'm a little sentimental for that. Actually, it's right here.
Show me that. Yeah. Oh, look at that
game was
R.
against Salem. My last game was against Salem, and there's still some Salem red on that face.
Oh, love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, they got us.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Rick, I invite you to radio like a champion today. Really, you can. That's all I want.
There you go. There's your influence. Radio like a champion. Of course, Zach, I got to meet Zach years ago when we were doing minor league baseball together. He was doing Bluefield. Of course, I was doing Pulaski, and we became friends and hung out. And he's still doing that. He's still doing Bluefield State, everything. Give us an update. What's going on there with Big Blue?
Well, the Big Blue, we've had a little bit of struggles. We got Tusculum at home at week 1. We battled, ended up falling to that one. Then we beat county rival Concord week 2. Last week we went down to Wingate, and anyone familiar with D2 football, Wingate is a perennial playoff team every year in and year out.
Yes.
They put one right on the chin for us last week down there. We've had a week off, and we go to Charlotte this week. We got Johnson C. Smith on the road. We start CIAA play. Johnson C. Smith came off a loss to Virginia Union. I know fans out there in Richmond know Virginia Union's they won CIAA last year. They're kind of primed for another run. They got us last year, 91-0 up at Virginia Union. Yeah, that was. Let me tell you something. That was one of the more
was that a good call?
Games to call. Yeah. And then I was in the press box. I was the only Bluefield State guy, and then the whole press box full of Virginia Union people. And I was like, do I really try to fight my way out of here, or do I just keep to myself and sneak out? So we're building. Former Hokie Davon Morgan, our head coach, played DB.
That's right.
When we were DBU, he had a nice run with the Eagles, and he's a tremendous guy. I love working with him. As you know, Rick, just trying to have coaches who understand what we need from them. And Davon is that. He helps us out with the media aspect of it. Always open for an interview, and we usually I record a coach's show a week, and he'll come down, we'll do a segment, and then we'll sit and talk for about 20-30 minutes about the stuff that we're kind of looking for off the air. So he gets it, and it's one of those things. He's not going to be at Bluefield State long. He's got a great pedigree. He's going to grow. He's going to climb the ladder, and he's going to have a great coaching career. I believe it. Back to real quick, Germaine. Let me tell you something, Germaine. We talked back and forth on social media for years and never met in person. Well, we met down at Winston-Salem at the National Sports Media Awards when he won Sportscaster of the Year for the state of Virginia.
Yeah,
and he and I are at the kind of meet and greet opening night. We're having a couple of Capri Suns,
Oh, of course.
And we're just hanging out there. Jermaine's a good sized guy. I'm not a small youngin either. And we walk in, and we all got our name tags on, telling people who we are. And in walks Mike Tirico, and he didn't have his name tag on. And he said, well, maybe I shouldn't have a name tag on. I said, I think you're good.
You think you're good.
I think we all know who you are.
Yeah.
And then I slid some adoption papers trying to get Germaine to sign. I was trying to get him to adopt me as his son.
Was he on
but
board
he called
for that?
on to it. And
he did.
No, he didn't sign him. So I'm still without a broadcast father. So anyone out there really who knows broadcasting wants to teach me.
You're still. Well, let's talk a little bit about one of our headlines when we started out today, and it happened yesterday evening. Obviously, Coach Robbins has passed away, and where your way in Richlands growing up, you're a lot closer to the legend of Phil Robbins than we are necessarily here. But just the impact, and we talked about this with Ron and about when we lost Coach Lindenberg here recently, and when we lose these coaches and what he created after he left the NRV to go down to Big Stone Gap. And I don't know if there's been a more dominant program for a stretch of 10, 15 years than what Powell Valley had turned into.
20. Yeah.
Yeah. About 20 years. Yeah.
Yeah. I think he arrived mid 80s, and, that was a program really before then. I think maybe they had a handful of playoff wins, something like that. Big Stone Gap, shout out to them. They bought into what he wanted to do. And I think that's big when you're talking high school football programs. And, he went on this run from the late 80s to, mid 2000s when he retired. He had some tremendous talent down there. They were, back in the old days when you had, Class A 1-2, Class AA 3-4, Class AAA 5-6, they were Class A Division II. It's essentially Class 2 now. They, I think they were around maybe 500 students, and they were playing. Lehigh had 1,000 students at the time. Richlands had 10 to 1,200 students, and they were playing them every year and beating them. And I remember as a kid, we played Powell Valley every year up until I was a sophomore. That was always one of those early games. You knew that you were going to be in for a fight. It didn't matter that they were a smaller school or what, but they wore the Carolina blue and red. They had some of the best looking uniforms. And they had the Viking on the side, and they were very intimidating. Yeah. But Phil did a great job. It seemed he was very advantageous of just being flexible. All these local coaches are like, I'm married to the spread, or I'm married to the eye or the wishbone or what have you. He had Thomas and Julius in the 90s, and they were, I formation, give it to those guys and go. And then kind of later in his career, his son Brad, who's worked his way up through the coaching ranks, is now at Tulsa as the offensive coordinator. He was at, I think he had a cup of coffee at VMI for a minute, but tremendous coach. He was a great quarterback in high school. They kind of started implementing. They were one of the first in Southwest Virginia to implement a spread with Brad, big, strong on quarterback, and they kind of opened it up there. And he was always just very advantageous of seeing what I had to play with and making it work, and then making your opponents work for it. And they always had a hard hitting defense. They've got some kids that kind of went under the radar, but they were really good. And you knew when you played a Phil Robbins team, you were going to be in for a dogfight. And I met him personally after he had retired. He worked at UV at Wise as the chief of staff for the football program. That's right. And I was there for a few years calling games and stuff, and had pleasure to kind of, when we were on the road, we'd go out to eat with him and stuff like that. And man, the guy had some tremendous stories. And
yes.
He was always fun to talk to. And I think a lot of people, there's a few people posted about it last night, but a lot of people forget he won 2 state track titles as well. He was very hands-on with the track program down there. And I think it's kind of what he was one of the first. I know Coach Mance, for me, he ended up coaching track in the spring and football in the fall. And I think he kind of followed Phil's lead, is like, hey, if these young men and young women aren't doing, fall or doing other things, like get them out there, get them prepared as athletes, because, you're running, you're jumping, all these things. And that track program kind of blossomed other programs. Cause not only, football, but Powell Valley was a power, other sports for years. And I think that was really Phil's foundation with the track program, kind of built that on to, until they combined with Appalachia. Now Union, they're kind of following that step. Union's going to be the force out of this side of the state this year, and that kind of down the road, that's a testament to Phil Robbins and what he built at Big Stone Gap in Powell Valley.
Zach Helton joining us on the program. He's the voice of Bluefield State. We're just talking about Phil Robbins and high school coaches in general. I said earlier in the first hour, when they ended up, I was calling the games for the Bobcats and Coach Lindenberg for 8 years, and we end up inevitably playing them in the state semis. And he knew I'd always want a pregame interview. And sure enough, he would always say, "Here comes the Radford radio guy trying to get all of our game plan for you." He'd always say, "Hey, come here, assistant, sit around me in case this guy gets out of line." He was obviously just, that's just the kind of guy he was. And you think about, we were just talking about with Ron Shelburne, when you play, you still have your helmet. We talked about that. I talk about all the stories with Coach Hicks at Pulaski County. The mark that it leaves, other than your own father, at least in my life, I can't think of anyone that I still look back on the lessons that I learned about everyday life than my football coach. In this case, it's Joel Hicks, and I'm sure it's the same for you.
Yeah, we, 4 years at Richlands, and, we were kind of right there on the cusp. When I was coming through, we were right there on the cusp before they began their big run. We were still Division IV. We were in the big division, and, we were playing school, Salem, state semifinal.
Yes.
They had 1,200 kids. We had, I think at the time, maybe 900, and things have kind of dwindled. But, Coach Mance was always tremendous with us. He was always, I don't remember a time where he wasn't available. If we ever needed something, he was teaching PE at the middle school, which was, a walk from the high school. If we ever needed something, he was available. Coach Jeff Tarter was my position coach. I had him in class. We talk regularly. Like it's one of those things, like those relationships stay with you such a long time. And, you kind of forget the whole football aspect of it. But I remember just stories of practice when, we're getting yelled at or something. We're just doing something stupid. And we all, like, when we get together, people I played with, those are things some of the games you don't even remember, but those type things when you're getting yelled at and just goofing off in practice, those are the funny things that you remember. But it's odd. And I think you see it as well. The coaching, especially at the high school level, they're not having these elongated careers like a Phil Robbins or a Joel Hicks.
No,
because I think a lot of it is just the young coaches are getting burnt out too much because there's too many people, and I'll just be frank about it, there's too many people who don't understand what it takes to have a winning program.
100%.
Putting their thoughts into it. I'm like, what I'm blessed about my parents. My dad played high school football. My dad loved football. He never interfered with what we were doing.
No, mine either.
He was sitting up on the hill enjoying some Capri Suns during the game. He didn't even come in the stadium most of the time. But I think that's one of those things. If folks would just kind of let coaches coach, then you can have programs who are sustaining coaches for a long time, like a Joe Hicks, like a Ragsdale, Giles, Coach Carlock at Graham, Mance, Phil Robbins, 1,000 names you could throw out there. But I think a lot of these coaches are just getting burnt out with it because they're tired of, one, it's long, thankless hours for these guys. It's not just show up and coach and teach, and you're doing laundry, you're doing summer work, trying to get these kids ready to play. And I think if you give the coaches a little grace, then maybe you'll be able to build a program that you want instead of the one that you think you need at the time.
You're so right on that. You can highlight. There's so many of them. You can look at any program that doesn't have the success it used to have, and what's it traced back to? Involvement that shouldn't be there. Constantly trying to tell these people that they're hiring to how they do their jobs, and you're right. They just say they get fed up and they go, "No, not going to do this anymore." It's a shame, and it's a real shame. But that's the way it is. Hey, people ask me on the professional door text line, what were the years you played at Richlands? I think people think they may have played against you.
01 to 04. Yeah.
01 to 04. There we go.
Yeah, we Magna Vista got us a couple of years in the region playoffs, which this is my sophomore year. We went down to the hole and I think it was 5 degrees. It was miserable, and they had I'm pretty sure they had Virginia Tech's JV team that year. They were huge, and they got us pretty good. And then we got them at we went down there my junior year, and we almost pulled it off. We had an onside kick late, and someone touched it before it went 10 yards, and they burned the clock out. We were done. But then senior year, they came to Richlands. They were up 20-6 on us, and we came back and beat them 24-20. They kind of sparked a little bit of a run for us. Bassett came in, and we beat them. And we were still grass, so I know a lot of people were like, oh, here we go. And then Salem for the state semis. It was funny. Me and my grandfather went. I went on a recruiting trip. It was late my senior year. We went to Hampton, Sydney for a game. And we drove out. We stopped in Roanoke for breakfast on the way. And Roanoke Times said, Richlands and Salem, remember 92. They're they're in line to meet up again. I was like, oh, man. And I remember that game. A lot of news outlets from across the state came in, and they were like, "What about '92?" And I said, "We were in kindergarten. Like, who knows? Like, that always gets brought up." And I remember that was a fun game. They were tough that year, and they got us pretty good. They 2 scores, but that was a tough game. And there was a linebacker. He may be listening. Me and him butted heads all day, and I gave him a big hug after the game. I said, "Good game." But,
yeah, exactly. You respect
yeah,
it.
Yeah. But those were the days. And then it was right after I graduated was when they dropped to Division III, and then they went to the state championship and lost. Went to the state championship. They went on a run of going to the state championship a couple of years in a row, and they got 1 out of those. But
right.
Yeah, testament to Mance. He kind of saw the writing on the wall too. For years, Richlands was a big power running football team, and Mance kind of started spreading things out, and we had some good quarterbacks come through there. His son Austin was one of them. We ended up playing at Tech for a minute. Justin McCracken, who could have went anywhere and played. They had a great run of quarterbacks when they started running that spread. John Luke Asbury later on. And it was a nice little run. But we're trying to get back to that. They're still kind of coming out from the ashes. I tell you, on this side of the state, folks, we're all watching Glenver from afar.
Yeah.
Because, they're a tremendous team. Union, I think, really has the best team. Speaking of Big Stone Gap, that was Powell Valley and Appalachia. They're the ones combined.
That's right.
So, coming out of this side, Graham still got a little bit of pop to them. They've had a tough start. But I think Union's going to come out of this side. And I think if Union and Glenvar meet up, I'm telling you, like, that's a game to go to.
Absolutely.
Long way to go between now and then, but
sure.
Yeah, I'm doing Bluefield High football, and they got a nice win over Beckley. I kind of wish they were still playing Pulaski County, because that was a nice little series.
It was
a couple years ago.
Good rivalry too. Great rivalry.
Yeah. Usually a really good game, and not a big travel thing. So maybe they can get that back going.
Yeah. Hey, before we let you go, anybody who follows Zach understands the tradition of the sock reveal. The sock reveal is something I look forward to. And when I don't get to see it come across my feed, I'm pretty disappointed, because you have something going on with your socks each and every week. And you've told me the story before, but let people know exactly what we're talking about here.
All right. So you see this tote here and this tote here that goes all the way to the floor. Those are full of socks. Those are full of socks. I think we're at about 700 pairs right now. And then some behind me.
Just some hanging out behind.
Yeah, these are the ones I wore the other night, the pugs.
Okay. Nice.
Pugs. Yeah, I try to come up with something catchy, like depending on who's playing who, and throw in something. Sometimes they're a miss, but it's all right. But yeah, I was doing radio in upstate New York. This was over 10 years ago, and we were right on the border of Canada, and I was doing mornings on a classic hit station. My buddy, who we shared a house with, he was doing mornings on a country station, and we would always go into Montreal, because we were 25 and had
yeah.
disposable income. So we're going into Montreal every weekend. And I ran into, it was like this little bazaar festival type thing. And it had just so many socks. And I just bought a couple of pairs. And it just kept coming from there. And then I shout out some sock companies. They'll send me socks.
Absolutely.
To wear. So it's like, I've got to a point where I'm not really buying a lot of them, but I'm getting, so my wife will walk in from work and throw a bag. She's got some more socks. So it's funny too, because we were talking to somebody at a wedding the other day. She doesn't wear socks at all. And I'm,
and there you are.
This sock weirdo. So opposites attract.
That's great. It's great though. Well, do me a favor. Next one day when you have not a good theme, maybe just for your old pal Rick, find your best pair of Bigfoot socks and put them on.
Okay, I will do that.
Yeah, because I'm sure you have probably so many different.
I think I do somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, of course you do. Of course you do.
Hey, I would be amiss.
Huh?
Yeah, well, I'd be amiss if I didn't shout out Savannah Hammond.
Yes,
yeah, former Big Blue head coach. Her husband Kyle, tremendous guy. Love them both. She's done. But I knew she was going to do a great job. As soon as she left Bluefield State, she took that program from the ashes and put it into a viable volleyball program, and which we're still proud of. Kiana Morrow now is taking that over, and she's doing a great job.
Yeah.
But I saw 3-0 against Tech. That's a big win.
So, we got them tonight at home. We got a home broadcast now on ESPN Plus. We've got North Carolina Central coming in tonight.
Nice. She's doing a great job.
Yeah. Well, congrats too on your addition to your family. People don't know.
Well, thanks. Yeah, she's in the other room. I've got her in the playpen. I gave her some matches and a pocket knife.
Oh, well,
so
that of the year.
Just to keep you a little busy during this. I'm hopeful that things are working out in there.
Yeah, let me know how that turned out for you.
Yeah, I may be divorced, but
yeah, you might be. Yeah, you might be. Well, listen, man, thanks for jumping on. Great stuff about Coach and about your own history. And we'll do this again here very soon, brother. And
hey, man, I'm
open.
Man. Yeah, sounds good. Next time we get together, hopefully in person.
Yeah, I know, right? I don't get to see you enough.
I got to get up there soon.
Yeah, come see us down here at Radford.
Will do. Will do.
All right, brother. Have a great rest of the week.
See you guys.
There you go. That's Zach Helton. Thanks again for the jersey. It's awesome.
Hey, you're welcome. Thank you.
Beautiful. There you go. Zach Helton, the voice of Bluefield State, does Bluefield High School. And it's great. Yeah, just how the connections work. Savannah Hammond, she played volleyball at Radford. She was there at Bluefield, and now she's at Radford as the head volleyball coach. And they swept Virginia Tech over the weekend. And we have a home match tonight. Come see us at the Dedman Center. It's free. Hang out with us. I'll be up on the track broadcasting, so you can just come say hi. Bring refreshments. Tomorrow, the schedule's altered a little bit. Mike Burnup's going to be with us on Wednesday because he and Roth are traveling. They're doing an event that's going to span a couple of days. So, no Burnup tomorrow. So, tomorrow's show will be adjusted a little bit. Usually, things develop throughout the course of the day. And I have to get a hold of Coach Ragsdale today and find out. Marty Smith is queued up and ready to go, but we're waiting to find out about Coach Ragsdale. He's going to let me know today his schedule for his minor surgical procedure. So we'll work around that clearly. I mean, we'll let that go. But anyway, we will see what happens with that. So I'll keep you updated on all those things, along with our regular crew. Mike will be with us Wednesday. Matt Rohn will be with us Wednesday. The director of athletics at JMU, Wes Durham on Friday. And maybe a couple other things that might rise out of the ether. But we'll keep you updated. That's what's so great about one of the many cool things about this format is the immense flexibility that I have. So that makes it awesome. It's nice to be able to own it. Please continue to tell people about the channel. Watch, like, share. We got to our first threshold in a month. It's amazing. Thank you. You're the reason if this thing's going to work, that it's going to work, and all of our amazing sponsors. Always room for more sponsors, by the way. You tell me your budget. I don't come to you with a budget. You tell me. But just tell people again, it's free. Remind them, we're here and we're going to broaden this thing out, more of a regional thing here, and we're just doing our thing, growing it from the NRV, Southwest Virginia. But we can have something special, our place here on this national, worldwide universal format that is YouTube. That's another thing about it. Anybody can just find it anytime they want. Just type it into their YouTube search engine all over the world. Hey, find this program. So unlimited opportunities here on the new show. So please continue to support us and like and subscribe and all these wonderful things. So thank you so much for that. NFL game tonight, and then we'll get back into more of what's going to happen in college football, and we'll start to prepare people for the ACC week. Virginia Tech opening up on the road down in Raleigh. And we'll see how all that unfolds, because with the next opportunity comes another opportunity. And we'll see if momentum was indeed, harnessed out of all of that. Thanks to Jermaine Ferrell, Ron Shelburn, and Zach Helton. It was so much fun talking to Ron about those days and the Mike Porter era and so forth. It's just great reliving those things. And I'm only sorry that probably most of you didn't get a chance to grow up and experience watching that young man play the game of basketball. I hate that. I hate that for you. But there are highlights. There are things that you can find. Zach talked about the website. Ron talked about it. I mean, there's so many highlights that are starting to pop. So there's always going to be a way to find the visuals of something so you understand what we're talking about. Those of you of a certain age and time who remember it, understand it. And Richard Morgan will never, ever forget it. What is that, Wayne? Is that turkey and a wolf pack? Is that what that is? I like that. Wayne's got, I think that's a gobbler. Yeah, it is. Fighting gobbler and wolf pack. I like that. And for me, still by far the best of the two mascots. I wish they were still the fighting gobblers. I love that. I absolutely love that. I hate that a cheer completely overwhelmed it. I wish there was Hokies is fine. I get it, but I mean, don't you think they could pay a little more homage to the fighting gobblers, right? Just a little. I mean, some kind of acknowledgement. I think that's so cool to go along with the colors. Just so cool. So awesome. But in any event, and you could have so many different types of cool promotions too with the whole fighting gobbler thing. I'm just saying. It's just a missed opportunity. Missed opportunity all the way around. Every week, what I try to do is observe a team wearing black that has no reason wearing black, just for the sake of wearing black for black's sake on uniforms. Baylor is my example this week, and I'm going to point it out because whenever you do that, you usually lose. And they lost a big home game to Arizona State in the Big 12. They have this beautiful green and gold traditional, and they're out there wearing this black uniform where there's no green or gold. And I'm sitting there going, why do schools continue to do this? Well, it's a blackout. I mean, Tech had a whiteout for military appreciation. That's a different thing. That's great. But why don't you have like a green out? Your school colors. Anyway, lesson learned. You lost. Thanks to you, as always. Tune us in tomorrow. We'll be here from 6 to 8:30. And thank you so much for chiming in. And no, I did not like the all-brown uniforms either. I'm a Padres guy, so brown, I'm a little privy to the whole brown uniform. But no, that was not a good look. Not a good look. But you got the dub. But at least, Wayne, the difference is at least they were wearing team colors. the brown and orange. So that's why you did not get into the tapestry of losing because you decided to forsake your team colors just to wear black. So congratulations that you stayed within the rules, even though it didn't look good, but you won. Everybody, enjoy the rest of your day. I hope we made your day a little bit better. Thanks for tuning us in, and we'll see you tomorrow morning, everybody. Please spread the word. Please like, subscribe, share the channel, and we'll see you tomorrow.